Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies and in-betweeners. My name's Dan. Welcome back to another PAP Reports. It's Tuesday, May the 26th, 2020. Well, yesterday's report caused a little controversy in the comments, didn't it? Dominic Cummings driving to Durham during lockdown has certainly divided the camp. I wanted to point out that after some comments about me being just like the mainstream media yesterday with that report, I wanted to say that unlike mainstream media, I am completely non-politically biased. Now, whether you believe that or not is entirely up to you. However, until Sunday night, I hadn't even heard of him before. And even now, I don't really know much about him. I simply don't have the time to research individuals in that depth. Now, I appreciate everyone's opinions, whether they oppose mine or not. In fact, it made a nice change that we found a subject that most people seem to disagree with me over. Unlike the mainstream media, I am more than happy to explain myself when I need to, and while still allowing you guys to comment. Now, whether the mainstream media are on a witch hunt or not has no bearing on my reports or my opinions. My focus is generally not on political issues. My focus is on issues of people in positions of authority doing things they shouldn't be doing. My view about Dominic Cummings hasn't changed. I have to be honest with you, and I'm certainly not going to lie just to please people. Okay, opposing opinions are good for debate. I will not get into arguments with people, but I will over the next few days be going through the comments properly and replying to some of your comments on yesterday's report. My main purpose for this statement is to simply try and put to rest any idea that I am in any way politically motivated. My reports have never and will never be aimed at changing your mind about something or trying to get you to believe what I believe. I will try to present the facts only where they're available and always put my sources in the description and also give my opinion on the story too. I'm incredibly surprised that it's taken over 118 PAP reports, possibly over 1,000 stories, to find one that our opinions differ so much on. But please remember, all I'm doing is sharing information with you and adding my honest opinion to it. I'm not trying to persuade you to think differently, and I'm certainly not going to lie about what I think just to appease people, which is what I think many of you actually appreciate about these reports. Okay, now let's get on with today's first story. John Apter, the Police Federation of England and Wales chairman, posted a tweet yesterday urging people not to go for a drive to check if their eyesight is unaffected enough to drive. His plea came after Dominic Cummings said in an interview that he drove at the request of his wife 30 miles to check if his eyesight was okay to drive with. During the press conference on Monday, Dominic admitted he drove from the family farm in Durham to nearby Barnard Castle on Easter Sunday at a half-hour drive on April the 12th. He claimed he had been feeling unwell for 2 weeks, and it was day 15 of the illness that it was decided he should test his eyesight before going back to London down the A1. He said his vision had been a bit weird, so his wife suggested to drive down the road to check it out. Now, I don't care what people think about the politics of it all. That right there is an incredibly dumb thing to do. Especially had his wife and child in the car, the same wife and child he took to Durham to keep safe. Dominic said, in a very complicated situation, I behaved reasonably. Scientific advisor for the government, Stephen Riker, warned people would stop following advice because government is looking after themselves in a way that they're not looking after us. Professor Riker added, if adherence falls, the infection will rise and people will die. LBC reports that they spoke to a London police constable today who said that he doesn't know what to say to those who are flouting the government's restrictions when they mention the behaviour of the Prime Minister's chief advisor. He said a good half a dozen people had told him today that, government can do what they want when asked to follow the guidance to stop the spread of COVID-19. The constable explained that he had handed out tickets to people sitting on benches in parks, but said he can now not see how he can go to bed at night knowing that he's made people pay fines for breaching lockdowns when it seems if you're powerful and wealthy enough, you can just do what you want.
But a good sort of half a dozen people I spoke to today when I've said to them, well, why do you say that? Why do you say lockdown is over? And they say, government can do what they want. And as a police officer, I don't know what to respond back to them. I don't know. We don't speak for government. We just enforce the rules. I don't know what the answer we're meant to give back is.
So you absolutely have come across people.
Really difficult.
Yeah, you're saying that you absolutely have come across people that have used what has happened over the last weekend as an excuse not to follow the lockdown rules.
There are three people who have said that to me today. There are three separate groups of people who have said to me today, well, if Dominic Cummings can do what he wants, so I actually think two people specifically said him. One person said the government, by which I automatically assume he's talking about this, can do what they want, then we should be able to too. So why are you bullying me, Mr. Officer, is kind of along the lines of the conversations that I've had today.
Now, again, this is not about yesterday's report. I've put that one to bed. This is about the driving whilst supposedly having poor eyesight due to illness and the consequences of that. In PAP Reports on the 4th of February this year, I let you know about the death of a pedestrian in Penketh after being hit by an unmarked police vehicle. At the time, Cheshire Police gave a statement saying that a road in Warrington has reopened following a serious collision. The incident involving an unmarked police car and a pedestrian took place at 7:20 p.m. on Monday 3rd of February on Warrington Road in Penketh. The pedestrian, a man, died at the scene. Inquiries are ongoing at this time. In line with normal procedure, the incident has been referred to the Independent Office for Police Conduct. Well, now we have a name for the man who died and a bit of further information on the progress of that investigation. 80-year-old Leslie Waterfield was hit by the unmarked police vehicle as he crossed Warrington Road in Penketh just half a mile from his home and sadly died at the scene. The vehicle was a dark unmarked BMW, and the driver of which is now being probed for gross misconduct after it appears the vehicle was not responding to an emergency, although at the moment it's not clear where the driver was actually going. An IOPC spokeswoman said the investigation is progressing well. An officer from Cheshire Constabulary has been informed that they are under investigation for gross misconduct and will be interviewed in due course. Our sympathies remain with all those affected by the incident. Cheshire Police has confirmed the driver is currently on restricted duties, meaning they are not on frontline duties and are bound to desk duty while the investigation continues. Police must be finding their jobs very boring at the moment. I mean, with 25% reduction in crime rates, they've clearly found themselves at a loose end. This has been evidenced lots recently as we see multiple police constables turn up for very minor situations, generally exacerbating those minor situations into situations they can all get stuck into. And here's another. At least 12 Greater Manchester police constables have been referred to professional standards after the dozen or so constables in 5 police vans swarmed to an incident on May the 16th of one young lad smoking a joint. Footage captured shows 3 police constables pushing the boy's head against some metal shutters while a 4th puts his hands on the boy's chest. They then drag the boy towards one of the 5 police vehicles on the scene and then try to bundle him into the back of the van, shouting, "Get down." One witness said that the police acted like the mob and that they held the boy by his throat after catching him smoking drugs. The witness, Chloe Seal, posted the footage on social media with the caption, "All of this for one teenager smoking a spliff outside the cafe while waiting for his bacon butty. Absolute joke. The amount of police, I thought something serious was going on." She added the young lad was stood there with his friend and they were smoking. The police said it was a spliff, but the other lad ran off, so I'm not sure if I'm honest. Within minutes, more and more police showed up, intimidating the young lad. He was being respectful towards them. The next minute they grabbed him. He panicked, so more grabbed hold of him and slammed him into the shutters. One of the policemen had him by the throat at one point. Then they took him to the van, still shouting and swearing at him. One officer spat, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure I would be fined for spitting in the street. Greater Manchester thugs said, shortly before 12:05 p.m. on Saturday the 16th of May 2020, police on a routine patrol of the Newton Heath area attempted to execute a stop and search under the Misuse of Drugs Act. One male fled the scene on foot, prompting officers to request backup. A second male was detained. He has been released and faces no further action. This incident has been referred to Greater Manchester Police's Professional Standards branch. I wonder if he faces no further action in an attempt to sweeten him up after the clear abuse of power. 14-year-old Jaden Moody was knocked off a moped and stabbed to death in East London in January 2019 as the result of a drugs turf war. Jaden was being groomed by a drugs gang in order to get him to carry out work for them, no doubt delivering and picking up drugs. The gang had thankfully been arrested months before Jaden died in a flat in Bournemouth with 39 wraps of crack, 2 packets of coke, a mobile phone and £325 in cash. But police failed to refer Jaden to child exploitation staff, meaning that he was left unprotected and unhelped. A serious case review found that chances to protect him were missed by agencies. According to the review, the appropriate adult who sat in on his police interview said he appeared to be a vulnerable young person frightened by what he was being groomed and coerced into by others. Following Jaden's release, he was driven back to London by Dorset police, but they failed to involve specialist child exploitation workers. The review, which was led by John Drew, the former chief executive of the Youth Justice Board for England and Wales, Mr Drew highlighted poor communication between Waltham Forest Council Social Services, Dorset Police and the Met Police. He called for a national system for responding to exploitation of children by county lines gangs, saying that every area needs a rescue and response system to protect young people. However, Mr Drew concluded that no one knew how little time there was to change Jaden's thinking. Jaden's death could not have been anticipated on the basis of what was known about his life at the time. So, while it is clear that Jaden was not protected either by the council or its partners or by any other person from the ultimate danger that engulfed him, I do not find any major fault in the response to his circumstances. So while the review found that chances to protect him were missed by agencies, the review chair said you do not find any major fault in the response to the circumstances. In other words, the fact that the police failed to follow protocol, which would clearly have had an impact on his actions once he was taken back to London, Jaden's death seems to have been his own fault. Surrey police were taking a leaf out of Derbyshire Police's How to Win Friends and Influence People's handbook yesterday, as large groups of people attended Frensham Great Pond near Farnham in Surrey on Bank Holiday Monday. Surrey police used their police drone, 2 police vans, a police car and 12 to 15 police constables to warn people to disperse if they were in groups of 3 or more, which is wrong as many of them could be families with more than 3 people. The drone, equipped with a speaker, blasted out the message, "Attention, attention, if you are in a gathering of 3 or more people, please move on." Waverley Borough Council tweeted, "Due to the amount of people at Frensham, police are asking groups of 3 or more to leave the site. The roads have also been shut, so please don't visit. This is for your own safety and following government guidelines on social distancing." Now I get that in these pictures it shows a lot of people appearing to be very close to one another, and they may have been, although it's impossible to tell from the still images, as perspective could skew that perception. But police really have got out of touch with interacting with people and dealing with the public. No one responds well to being shouted at, especially if it's a large family socially distancing from others, but being told they have to go home through a speaker blasting the message from the air. It seems that this technology that police are so fond of using now simply helps and is used to further that divide between police and public relations, almost as if the police want less personal interactions with the public. But unfortunately, that progression of less personal policing has led to that thin blue line growing much, much thicker. Detective Superintendent Helen Flanagan from the Metropolitan Police's Online Child Sexual Abuse and Exploitation Unit has led a week-long operation in London targeting online paedophiles. 38 suspected online paedophiles have been arrested, and 138 children are said to have now been protected during the week-long crackdown by the Met on internet groomers. Now, although I'm glad so many of these filthy cunts have been caught, I hate it when the police say a week-long crackdown. If the police masters used their brains, they could spare more police to deal with this kind of thing. You know, real crime. Then it wouldn't have to be a crackdown. It could be part of their normal policing instead of waiting for it to peak before taking action in a crackdown. Laptops and phones and tens of thousands of images of child abuse and sexual exploitation were also seized in a series of raids across the capital. The arrests come as Scotland Yard warned that the lockdown has resulted in a greater number of sexual predators out there trying to target and groom young people. Helen Flanagan said that the suspects come from a variety of backgrounds and that officers had been working flat out during the lockdown to prevent a surge in offences. She added, every image is a crime scene with a real child being abused. Every time offenders look at or share that image, they are committing a vile crime and repeating abuse which devastates lives. People cannot hide behind a screen, and just because we're in lockdown doesn't mean my officers won't find you. If you access this appalling material, you can expect to come to our attention and face arrest, prosecution, a criminal record and possible prison time. It shouldn't be possible prison time, it should be prison time. No possible about it. Lockdown has led to a significant growth in online use, she said, including children. Unfortunately, it also means there is a greater number of sexual predators out there trying to target and groom young people. Flanagan said that although the Met's statistics were not so far showing an increase in offending, the data would continue to update and a more accurate picture would not emerge until later. She also urged parents to remain vigilant. The Metropolitan Police said parents should also check and use parental controls, privacy settings and other safety features to protect their children. More than 200 specialist officers currently in borough-based teams across the metropolitan area tackling online child abuse, as well as central unit tackling the most serious cases. Action to protect children safeguarded during operations against suspected online paedophiles varies depending on the circumstances, but can include taking some into care. Well, I just want to say well done Met Police for 1 week's worth of paedophile hunting. I'm being serious, although the public would prefer you to be doing this on a more regular basis rather than allowing your constables to police their feelings, rather than policing the actual laws and preventing actual crimes. 33-year-old Metropolitan PC Samuel Perrin, based in Islington, North London, was dismissed without notice after admitting gross misconduct but denying dishonesty. Perrin had been at the Backyard Comedy Club in Bethnal Green before stopping at Tesco's on his way home to buy some shopping. Whilst there, he took a sandwich, opened it, ate it and then threw the wrapper in a freezer before going on to pay for the rest of his shopping without paying for the sandwich, and then attempting to leave before being confronted by security guards. Perrin said, "I was under the influence of alcohol. I have no clear recollection of those events." He said, "I have paid a devastating price. My partner left me and took our cat. I have never been lower." Helen King said, "I have watched the CCTV showing PC Perrin's action and concur with the summary that on the CCTV he is not obviously drunk. The footage shows PC Perrin putting an empty sandwich wrapper in a freezer. He positions his basket and tellingly looks over his shoulder." Perrin sobbed as he read a prepared statement to the hearing, saying, "I don't intend for this statement to be an excuse. It is not, but I hope it will provide insight into the person I am and also how out of character it is. I cannot express just how much I am sorry." Very big thank you to the channel Patreon supporters. Your support is, as always, much appreciated. Anyway, that's all for today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police, don't pinch sandwiches from Tesco's, and film other officials. Good night, all. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.